Good day, Professor Santa Rita. This video presentation is inspired by Module 4, Indigenous Cultures of ASEAN Countries, and it aims to discuss the history of ancient tattooing and shall present the similarities and meaning behind the batok tattoo from Kalinga in the Philippines and Sakyan tattooing in Thailand. These are the following objectives of the video: defining tattoo and its origin, introducing the brief history of ancient tattooing in the Philippines and Thailand, presenting the similarities and differences of the batok and Sakyan tattoo, and lastly, exploring the meaning of tattoo as cultural art and as a form of expression. According to Olson, a tattoo is defined as an indelible mark fixed upon the body by inserting pigment under the skin, and the earliest evidence of tattoo art dates from 5000 BCE. Across time and cultures, tattoos have many different forms and meanings. The word tattoo is derived from the Polynesian words tattoo, which means to puncture and a mark made on the skin, or from the Tahitian or Samoan word tatau, which means to mark something. The oldest known human to have tattoos is Otzi the Iceman, and presumably all other members of the Bronze Age tribe. Researchers believe that his tattooed tattoos were used for healing. Earlier records showed that tattoos are present in the older kingdoms and civilizations of Egypt, Greek, Roman, and even the Japanese. The arts used for decorations for their homes, paintings, tombs, clothing, and ceramics soon made their way in the human body, mummified or alive. Those who paint themselves permanently with extreme pain uses needles, sharp awls, or piercing thorns with which they perforate the skin. The design will be traced over the flesh and body with some powdered black coloring matter, which becomes mixed with the blood and penetrates with these perforations. The tattoos were a historic part of the tribal culture in the Philippines. It is practiced on both sexes by ethnic groups during the pre-colonial era. Tattoos are a symbol of tribal identity, kinship, bravery, social standing, rite of passage, and loyalty. Visayan warriors known as pintados are the ones who greeted the Magellan expedition in 1521, and they were described as painted all over. The affiliation of tattoos in northern Luzon is for the headhunters and warriors. Ancient tattoos can be found among mummified remains of Igorot tribes, along with their hanging coffins and caves that are used for their burials. The design and placement of the tattoos varied depending on their ethnic group, affiliation, status, and gender. Batek is the Kalinga term for the traditional tattoos or inscriptions found on their skin, and are known for their symmetry and elaborate tattoo designs. They have the largest number of surviving practitioners of the tradition from the Bontoc, Ifugao, Tingian, and Ibaloy in the mountain provinces. The Philippine tattoo will not be complete without Apo Wangod, who is the last living mambabatok and the last Kalinga tattoo artist in our country. This art is 1,000 years old, and she practices this since she was only 15 years old. The Kalinga tattoo fades slowly with decades of missionization, colonial administration, and modernization. But there are still elders in Kalinga who continue to wear this body art as a sign of bravery, number of enemies killed, and social status. Her hand-tapping kit includes a coconut bowl to mix a pigment of soot and water, an orange thorn needle or locally known as siit, attached to the end of a bamboo stick, and another short stick used to tap the thorn into the skin. The session is surrounded by omens, because it is a ritual and a serious religious experience. Apo Wangod has to observe taboo before the session. She chants so that no spiritual harm will come to the person. She is not allowed to drink alcohol the day before because she believed that the tattoo may be infected and the person can die. If someone sneezes during the session, they need to stop because a lurking spirit is jealous or wants the session to stop and to be continued in another time. Her skills are currently being passed on to Grace, her only descendant that shown interest in the tattoo art of their ancestors. Ancient tattooing is attached for administrative reasons because the Bangkok authorities used to mark many of their subjects on their wrist. This was done by the Department of Registration for statistic purposes on the male population, for determining the status, military expectations, and taxation. The wrist became a person's official status with regards to the government authorities, and it could easily be checked at all times. It is a key factor that the king can quickly raise an army by obtaining manpower for public works. The extinction of administrative tattooing started in the 20th century, with the legal abolition of slavery and the introduction of family names for all classes. The second type is the traditional one, and it is characterized by strong religious overtones. The marking of the body for magical reasons, protection, strength, influence, and invulnerability is a living tradition. Before tattooing, there must be a homage to the wise teachers who handed down the tradition. It is accompanied by a chant of magical formulae. The tattooer uses no standard overall pattern when marking the body with sacred designs, and each person is tattooed according to the inspiration, and no two people have exactly the same overall pattern. The survival of indigenous tattooing is from the belief of the farmers. They see the tattoo effective in many ways, like the designs are reputed to help the wearer in escaping difficult situations, can increase physical ability, or make the skin invulnerable to knives and bullets. The tattoo compensates what the society cannot give them, such as safety, social security, or a feeling of belonging in the farming population. Tattoos considered to be sacred in Thailand is the yantra tattooing or the sakyant. It is an art done by Buddhist monks which associate different powers with different scripts. Many people believe that these tattoos have magical abilities, and ink seekers from all over the world travel to receive these magical works of body art. It combines the use of the holy words and sacred geometry with the magical use of methods for making the fine art, skills, and knowledge of supernatural powers. Sakyant is a belief that such a tattoo on the skin will help keep the individual safe and secured. Before the pre-colonial era, Philippines and Thailand have a flourishing tradition of tattooing. Even though many tattoo traditions in Southeast Asia are fast disappearing, it is clear that modern tattoos will not flourish without recovering the essence of the ancient tattoos. The Batok and Sakyan tattoos are both based on giving spiritual protection from evil spirits and illness. This is due to the long tradition of ancestor worship and beliefs that deities, gods, and other forms of higher beings can provide protection. They serve as an indication of age, marital status, power, and a way to identify if a person is an associate or an enemy. Another similarity is that both tattoos are very difficult for an individual to obtain. Based on a vlog from Alvarez, the travel to Barangay Buscalan in Kalinga, which is Apo Wangod's residence, is no walk in the park. It includes long hours of bus and jeepney rides and trekking in the uphill and downhill climb to the small barangay of the Butbut Kalinga tribe. There is a long queue for the visitors, and waiting time depends on the number of people in line and the design of the tattoo. It is also advisable to get a tour guide and interpreter for the trip. The designs of the tattoos are limited, so you have to stick to the original design. During the travel of Simasco in Thailand, getting a Sakyan tattoo is on top of their travel itinerary. The Sakyan tattoos are performed by monks within a Thai temple, based on donation and no fixed payments. One of the challenges they face is that the monks aren't supposed to touch the opposite sex, meaning women have a harder time getting a tattoo. It is recommended to book an appointment with a monk in a rural temple through a legitimate source. Upon arriving in the temple, you would need to choose the pattern available in the books, and that describes your aura and personality. The last part of the session is having a blessing ceremony for the tattoos that includes chanting and gently hitting the tattoo repeatedly. An individual would need strong pain tolerance, money, travel itinerary, allotted time, and reliable sources in order to acquire these tattoos. The main difference of the batok and sakyant is their rate of survival. With the help of research paper by Docena, it is clear that Thailand's tattoo culture has flourished while the Philippines has nearly faded into extinction. Sakyant is rooted in shamanistic traditions and was integrated with Buddhism when the religion arrived in Thailand. It was promoted to stars like Angelina Jolie and gained mainstream attention when incorporated to festivities like the White Crew in the Temple of Wat Bang Pra, while the Batok lacked consistent support from the government and the elders in the tribe, as they deemed that Batok should only be exclusive to the deserving members. The tattoo session and the healing process itself are also different. When it comes to Sakyant, smaller patterns can take 10 to 20 minutes, and the larger designs can take a couple of hours. The batok is a lengthy process as it takes a day to a week to finish a design that needs to be tapped about 120 times per minute using a needle. The healing time usually takes up to 3 months, and swimming in the sea or pool is not allowed to avoid any infections. There are also more time and effort allotted for batok because the practitioners are located in isolated areas. Currently, Apo Wangod is the only legitimate practitioner of batok, and this relates to long lines, excessive wait times, and fatigue for her, as she accommodates all the tourists who wants a tattoo. Sakyant was easier to get because of the availability of the monks that practice tattooing. This resulted in a huge difference in the population that is getting the tattoo. The individual can have a Sakyant tattoo and still complete their itinerary in other places, compared to going to Buskalan and you only get to see Buskalan, because your time will be focused on the batok and does not give you a chance to travel more. Both types of tattoos are considered devotional tattoos, but the relevance to the daily lives of today's generation is one of their differences too. Sakyant is an output of different religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and animism. Its purpose remains significant as it connects deeper with the individual's religion. Christianity, being the major religion in the Philippines, plays a big role in the decline of batok. It is considered taboo by the religion because it is related to headhunting, becoming unwanted and disliked by the larger population. Tattooing is one of the arts that transcends time, era, and generations. It is defined as a form of body modification that leaves a mark in a person's body part with an intricate design by inserting pigment into punctures in the skin with the help of needles and dye. It is a permanent kind of body art and can be in any design, shape, color, texture, and size. There is no turning back when the needles start to puncture the skin because this will leave an everlasting symbol in a person's life. It is one way of self-expression of the artist and his human canvas. A tattoo can portray several meanings and significant messages depending on the outlook of the person getting it. Most of the tattoos can be found within a person who wants to use art as a self-expression when everything else fails. It is not uncommon for trauma victims, those who overcame a hindrance in their life, those with disabilities or serious illness, or when it comes to indigenous groups, it is a way of claiming positive ownership of their bodies and identities. Tattoos can also reflect as a crest on which it shows to whom or to what group does a person's loyalty and life belongs. Tattooing assists in healing, empowerment, and promoting body acceptance and self-esteem. On the other hand, there are also negative views when it comes to tattoos. Some tattoos are reminders of poor choices, dreadful past, and failed relationships, among others. Not everyone is accepting of this body art in society. Some people perceive fear, anger, biased judgment, and unethical morals when they have an interaction with someone who has a tattoo. Having a tattoo is a painful way of introducing and giving meaning to oneself. But there are times that experiencing the pain from the needles is the motivation behind getting a tattoo. Tattooing has been a celebrated art form throughout the world for thousands of years. It is a unique way of telling a story using one's flesh.